When I think about existentialism, it's kind of like my life. You know, hindsight is 2020. I remember when I was in high school, I was studying, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. You know, the usual, making your way in the world, dealing with the typical high school drama and a couple of special issues. And I know at a certain point I decided that I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. Not just like in terms of a job, but just in terms of like socially, like where I was going to go with myself. And I remember at a certain point, it was after school, I was waiting for the train, and I remember saying, look, Donnell, you have some choices you have to make. You can either do what everyone says you should do, which seemed like a pretty okay path, or you can do what you want to do, which seems, you know, a little more interesting. So I said, well, Donnell, you only have one life to live. So I started on that road, not really knowing where it was going to take me, but I decided that I would be best served by getting some education, kind of looking at the world through new eyes, sort of. And I said, well, I think the best way to do that is to get a better understanding of Western philosophy. I read Bertrand Russell's History of Western Philosophy, learned a little bit about Socrates, but I really like the ones that were before him, Plato and Aristotle and the rest. I guess it kind of gave me a grounding, you know, it gave me a background, something to use when I was looking at the news and listening to people's gossip and their ideas. It kind of gave me some way of like filtering it and comparing it against like the passage of time. I learned about the great, I learned about Rome and the popes and all the insanity. And I mean, it was kind of like a wilderness. It was beautiful. It was, you know, untamed, and like this, safe, because it was written down. I chose to continue with that path. I learned about Donnell Bruno. I got a little interested in Nietzsche at some point. I actually started to read the Gay Science, and that was moving. At a certain point, I was actually at the beach, and it was night, and the weather was kind of dark, kind of like this weather. I mean, I like overcast skies. And I was looking at the water, and I was just saying, okay, look, I don't know, the world is just huge. You just gotta have some happiness in it. You know, I wasn't really into religion, but it was kind of like everywhere. It's kind of all around you. And I mean, unless you start to question it, you don't really think about it, because it doesn't affect you. It's like, it's just the way things are, and it's normal. But I started to think about it, and I started reading more about Nietzsche and his whole Dionysian perspective. I kind of one day I have to say, you know, Donnell, you're your own boss, you know. You're the leader of your own ship, and you kind of have to call the shots. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with your life. You know, sink or swim. This is really your decision, and it was pretty beautiful, you know. It was scary. It was unscripted, but it was precious, you know. It entailed leaning into the wind, going against conventions, but it made me feel alive. It made me feel like I was doing what I was meant to do. You know, that I was actually living for the first time in a really long time. And, you know, I became more outgoing, I became more social. You know, I went to college, I got involved in politics. I was kind of tasting the world, you know, really like seeing what it had to offer. At a certain point, I got involved in the Brooklyn Families Party in Long Island. And it entailed canvassing. I had to go to people's doors, knock on their doors, basically give them a speech about why they should give me campaign funds, basically. And I was pretty good at it. I had a speech impediment, so it was a hindrance. I thought it was a hindrance at the time, and I kind of let it scare me off. I really enjoyed it, but I chose not to pursue it because of fear. And I missed out on something that I really could have enjoyed. I made a lot of good friends, and it's something that I regret. It's like a hidden valley that I didn't explore. But that's life. The turn that you didn't take. But moving forward, we learn from those mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes, and lately I've been given the opportunity to canvas again, but for like research in the medical field. And again, I still have a speech impediment, but I'm going to decide that I'm going to take the risk. Life is full of uncertainty. That's what this whole thing is about. Being into existentialism is about accepting your limitations as a human being, as a person, as Donnell, but not being afraid to live authentically and experience what life has to offer me. Here's another position for me to take. It involves a great deal of speech, but it's rewarding. It's beautiful. It's something that not everyone gets. And I'm not going to pass it up the second time. So, here I am on Magnolia Way, my Magnolia Way. This is my moment in the sun, as they say, and I'm going to live it. I'm going to take responsibility for my life, my actions, and get the most out of it. And I hope that all of you will do the same. Thank you.